Inakusoko accepting.
I went to Juba, South.
The first civilization to take Africans up.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today. It is, of course, a Thursday, the 16th of November, 2025, Africa Maria, to bring you today's topic, of course. We are talking about Sudan human crisis. With me, I have, this is Chief Molly Bryan. Chief Molly Bryan, and of course, Monica, one of the gender activist. I will let my colleagues having today with me in the studios introduce themselves. Like I said, I'm Africa Maria from Uganda, bringing you Africa at your doorstep. On this channel is where we tackle different issues, starting from politics, economics, social life, and of course, culture. Not to forget news. We inform, we give information check, and of course, credibility check as we bring different professionals, more especially journalists, when we are to tackle or to give in-depth of news that have occurred all over the country and the world at large. With me, I have got I'm hosting two of my colleagues with whom we shall discuss about the Sudan human crisis, or the crisis that is in Sudan. I've got some two, of course, analysis who will look deeper into this topic tonight. Let me first start with Monica. Monica.
Yes, Maria, good evening. Hope I'm audible enough.
Very.
Oh, good evening, dear listeners, viewers out there. My name is Monica Navyonga. Yes, I'm a gender activist. I'm a journalist by training and by profession. And what else should I say, Maria? By passion.
Anything.
Yeah. So I hope people out there listening in, watching in. So we are going to discuss the Sudan crisis, and sure, I'm ready.
All right, I'm also seeing a colleague, Molly Bryan.
Molly Bryan.
Yeah. I don't know that Molly Bryan is on with us. Molly Bryan, you can. Molly Bryan, in front of your screen, there is a microphone. Each time you're not going to say anything, you can tap it, and it moves. And each time you want to say something, you can tap it again, and it moves. And be able to listen to each other and have a perfect, audio output. Hello, Chief Brian.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Brian. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening to all our listeners and viewers on this channel. My name is Molly Bryan. I am the founder for Advocacy for Youth Transformation and Empowerment, IOTA Uganda. I am a computer scientist by training and I am an activist. It's a pleasure to be part of this show and I wish you the very best in the deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to host you on African Pain, the TV where we bring Africa to the doorstep. Now, this television usually, or this channel always focuses not only on Africans or the Ugandans, but more especially the Africans in diaspora, like the Black Americans, like the British America, the Black British, the Black Germans, people of African descendants, but living in or outside Africa. Now, like we always say, we bring Africa to your doorstep. I'll first start with Maureen, but before we dive into that, Sudan has been facing one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, especially since the conflict between the Sudanese Armed Forces, that is SAF, and the Rapid Support Forces, we call it RSF, escalated in the April of 2025. Now, the fighting has displaced millions, destroyed communities, and deepened existing social fractures. But before we dive into that, I usually love it when we are to, of course, explain or we are to discuss about issues concerning a certain part or a certain region in Africa. We usually want to intertwine it, or we usually want to connect it with the issues that we are experiencing in our own different countries. Because at times on this channel, we always host Africans from different countries. So I believe Brian and Monica are from Uganda, right?
Yeah, 100% Ugandan.
Yes, please.
So
We are from Uganda.
I'm gonna let Monica. I will start with you, and I'm going to ask one of the question. Of course, how has the ongoing conflict in Sudan reshaped daily social life for ordinary citizens? You as a gender activist, and I'm actually glad that I'm speaking to the right people. I believe your service does not only stop in Uganda, but it extends in entire Africa, in the entire world at large, right?
Yes, Maria, thank you very much for hosting me again today. And I'm very happy, actually. I have mixed feelings, I should say, to
Mm.
discuss the crisis that is happening in Sudan, but I don't wish it to happen in Africa. I don't know what's wrong with Africans. Our country is actually never stable. If you're stable this year, next year it is something else. When you're stable this year, next year it's something else. So this Sudan war is something that actually erupted, as you said, in April 2023. But we all thought that maybe it is just a mere fight that can even come to an end today or tomorrow. But it's sad that even today, as we talk, 2025, we are still talking about the same. If they happen to have peace, for example, in for a month, they'll take like 6 months still on the run. And it has really affected the social life of this country, not only the social life, but also the economic life of this country, Sudan. I remember well that this war is in happening in Sudan. It is generals that are fighting, and Maria, for us in Uganda here, we have a saying that where two elephants fight, it is the breast ground that suffers, and indeed,
Mm.
it is us in Sudan that is suffering. Because these generals, actually, you may even find if when their families actually are not in the country, they already fled out of the country. So we've seen this war actually. Over 11 million people have been forced to flee their homes. They split in between. Some of them are internally displaced persons. Others have crossed borders. And what does it mean? Right now, they are refugees. Can't, yeah, Maria, you can imagine you've been operating some business, maybe you've been operating something, and then you be turned into a refugee. You're in, or you actually, you can even turn into a refugee in your country. So you can imagine over 11 million people, where are they? Displaced internally, and others have turned into refugees. And what does this mean? It means there is a big economic setback as we now in Sudan. And actually, even if the fighting stops today, Maria, it will take more than 10 years to restore that, to restore actually what has been spoiled right now, to restore all that has been put down by this war that is happening in Sudan. Maria, over 21 million people in Sudan, nearly almost half of its population, they are suffering food insecurity right now. You cannot farm, of course, in that situation. You cannot do anything because anytime, actually, you cannot even be at peace because anytime you're thinking that something might happen, an emergency is coming, so you cannot concentrate, you cannot do anything apart from running up and down for your life and maybe that of your family. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Apparently, um, do you have anything to say about that particular question? I'll
Pardon?
repeat the question. Okay. Our lights are This is crazy, but we shall still continue. We are not going to end. Probably the lights will be back. So let me use the audio format since the lights are off. I'm still gonna pose the question to the same question I asked Monica, and this will go to Brian, and I'm going to repeat the question that I had asked Monica. That how has the ongoing conflicts in Sudan reshaped daily social life for ordinary citizens in Sudan?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maria and Monica in studio. I don't know whether I am clear. Clear, I had.
Thank you.
Am I clear?
Yes, I'll get you.
Okay, please.
Question.
Um, the conflict in Sudan has really greatly affected the people because we see this conflict interfering with people's social life, not only social but even economic. That now people can no longer live together in their families. That is one. Families, we have seen families being dispersed, as children are becoming orphans, parents are becoming childless, and there is a serious instability amongst families in South Sudan, where people are being forced to even move out of their. Uganda is currently hosting a big number of refugees as a result of the South Sudan crisis, that conflict and violence in South Sudan,
Mm.
that most families have broken up. The education system of Sudan has now gone down. We are seeing literacy levels going high because people can no longer settle in one place to get to attend to school. We have seen many people dying. This is really first of all, it is traumatizing those who are witnessing the death of their loved ones, their colleagues, people from the same community. People can no longer do farming. People can no longer produce food. Businesses can't proceed normally. So, in so doing, the life of people has greatly been disorganized and disoriented. That people have been displaced from their communities. Many people have lost their livelihoods, and
Mm.
losing livelihood really has led to the increase in poverty levels. That people can no longer sustain themselves. The economic status of South Sudan can no longer sustain its own people. The leadership of South Sudan can no longer have the capacity to contain what is happening in their country. And this has really affected the life of the people in South Sudan. And this has also, at some point, I can say, it has led to possibly ethnic division. People are being
Mm.
divided. There is a myth that possibly these fights are between one ethnic group and the other, that division has really come up, that these people are being dispersed, they are losing trust amongst themselves, even amongst their leaders, the same communities. the health services of the country are down, that people can even no longer access medical care in their own hospitals in their country. So this that violence, and possibly I can say the disorganization that has happened in South Sudan has really greatly affected the people of South Sudan, not only in South Sudan communities, but it has also impacted even the neighboring countries. We have seen some of these similar things happening even in DRC, sometimes even the northern part of Uganda, and some areas
Mm,
even hosting these refugees. We're seeing that even when these refugees come in this country, there is now competition for land. They also need to access medical care. They need to access education services in the countries that are hosting them. So generally, their life has gone down. I have had the opportunity to interact with some of the refugees from South Sudan who are in Uganda. Those who have
mm,
stayed in Uganda for some time. And when you go deeper into such conversations, they narrate to you the life they have gone through in Sudan, what they have witnessed during the war and the violence that happens there, how they have seen people die. They really feel they are really traumatized. Some of them even narrate how far they had gone with education there and maybe what they could need to impact their education currently in Uganda. Some of them are just trying to catch up with the Ugandan curriculum. For those who have been able to study in the curriculum of Uganda, have been able to continue. Someone tells you they sat there A level 5 years ago and they're now just trying to find ways of getting to the university education. So generally, when it comes to the social life of the people of South Sudan, the violence that has happened there and whatever is taking place there has greatly affected them. Most especially that what people may not focus on is the mental health and the mental health and how they are. Okay, let me say the mental health of these people. Most of them get traumatized when they remember and discuss about what happened there. It has really, they really feel psychologically they are not okay. They are traumatized emotionally, and I personally believe that there has also been an increase in possibly gender-based violence. That people are no longer acting themselves based on what they have gone through. There is a increased conflict. There is increased violence between. Is sometimes some of them have been sexually harassed during those wars. Some of them have been exploited, and I believe that even this, there is even increased eroding in the social fabric, and this has really increased so much, especially in marginalizing the women and girls of South Sudan. And maybe to sum up, I can say to some extent, I believe there has also been a decrease, a degradation in the cultural practices and traditions of South Sudan, that people of South Sudan can no longer practice or act themselves like they are supposed to be, according to how their culture and their tradition possibly dictates. Because right now they are living in different countries, they are living in fear, they are living in places that can now, where they cannot
mm,
express themselves how they felt like they would have expressed themselves. And this has led to
mm.
an increase in the dependence on humanitarian aid. So they can no longer live on their own. So sum up, I can say the dependence on humanitarian aid has also increased due to this violence. So the people of South Sudan generally have lost their independence due to
True
this
that.
violence
They-
and whatever is going on in South Sudan. Thank you.
mm. Brian, you've talked about of course, the Sudanese seeking refuge in neighboring countries. And from your experience, you've told us there are few Sudanese you've at least met and, of course, had an exchange of one or two words. I'm going to pose this question again to you. What are the biggest challenges that these families that come to seek refugees in different countries experience? What are the challenges do they face? What challenges, what are the hardships are they going through? Are they finding peace in the countries where they seek refuge?
Thank you very much, Maria, for that. Uh, the biggest challenge that these people are facing is one, they lack ownership of land and property. It becomes hard for them to access land to own land, possibly for farming, own land for businesses. Some of them are even finding it hard to access education. Not until possibly if there comes an international, either international organization, non-government organization, maybe international agency that is offering scholarships to these students to access education, especially in high institutions of learning like universities and other tertiary institutions. That's where, that's when they can have some access. Some of them who have been able to maybe get refugee cards that they can also have access to Ugandan services like any other Ugandan or in any country that they would have sought refuge in. That's the
Brian,
only possibility. So, yes, please.
as a social worker, because from your, of course, from your introduction, I got to learn that you're a social worker who works with an NGO. And I believe today's topic really falls probably in your department, if I'm not mistaken. We have learned, at least for the best of my knowledge, I know one thing for sure, that these refugees are being given aid, like from the United Nations, until when the president of the United States of America declared that they is going to withdraw funding the refugees. But my biggest, to the at least I've studied with some Sudanese and some Ethiopians, Eritreans in different schools at university. Now that we've, of course, America declared that they are going to withdraw, we've seen a lot of people or refugees experiencing hardship. And I do agree when you say they don't have ownership, probably always. So I guess home is always the best, I should say. They don't own things here. Most of them are in rent. But when you look at different district in Uganda, more especially up country, and more so the districts that are close to the border of Sudan and Uganda, and even those that extend like to places like Masindi. There are a lot of Sudanese there who own land plots, and they have become apparently like citizens of Uganda, and they have some of them have even born children, and children don't even know how Sudan looks like. But now, I'm going back to the point where you said most of these people, some of them cannot access education. Now, you're bringing something into my mind. I'm thinking that the funds not enough to cater for every refugee that comes, at least in those different countries where they seek shelter.
Thank you very much. Um, when these refugees come to a country that gives shelter, most of them are always taken to the refugee camps. And in these refugee camps, some of these camps could be having schools, maybe primary schools, secondary schools. But now, when it comes to accessing university or tertiary institutions, education, it becomes a challenge because the funds may not be enough, or the support that the country or the support they are getting may not extend beyond the secondary education. That these refugees have to either find scholarships elsewhere, or some of them, if they are able to support themselves, like you've said, those who have been able to stay in Uganda for some time, that their parents brought them from Uganda, and they can now extend with further studies. But we are seeing that the crisis in South Sudan has not stopped, meaning the rate at which the refugees will keep coming to Uganda keeps increasing, that they have not stopped coming to Uganda and maybe any other country that is hosting them.
Mm.
So it may not be possible that all of them will have access. So if we can have, if possibly there could be a possibility of having all of them get access to education, then that would be better. But now that the number keeps increasing every now and then, it is possible that whatever is budgeted for, whatever is allocated, cannot accommodate for even the increasing numbers, and maybe the numbers become after, because we are not sure of when there will be stability in South. So if there was a possibility of catering for those that are coming in and possibly those that will come in, then we would have guarantee that they are going to have access to education like any other would have expected.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. Now I'm going to pose a question to Mrs. Monica. Mrs. Monica, as a gender activist, I believe, of course, this Sudan human crisis has got a lot to do with the gender crisis. Please, what do you think are the gender crisis the Sudanese experience during this crisis? And I believe they are still experiencing.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maria. Actually, sorry to take you back just a
Hello,
little bit,
Monica,
but
are you there?
yes, I am, Maria. Aren't you getting me?
Oh, okay. I don't know, I guess maybe I'm not audible enough.
Maria,
Okay.
hello.
Monica,
Yes, are you getting me?
Monica, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Monica, I can get you. I don't know whether Maria is able to get you as well.
I'm not.
Maria is not
Oh,
getting me.
yes,
I don't know why.
now I get you. I get you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Just
was under.
okay. Thank you very much. And now, when it comes to gender, Maria, first of all, I'll start with children. Maria, it is estimated that over 770 children under 5 years are expected to suffer acute malnutrition. So, what does this mean? Only just this year, actually, 2025. So, what does it mean? It means that Sudan is going to have a
Oh,
generation of
I'm
unproductive.
losing Monica. I don't know whether it's my network or something.
I don't know, Brian, you get me? Am I heard?
You are breaking, but now you're audible.
So should I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, I was speaking about that when it comes to gender. First of all, it is estimated that 770,000 children under the age of 5 are
Mm,
expected to suffer acute malnutrition this year alone, 2025. So, Maria,
mm,
what does this mean? It means that Sudan is going to reach a point when it's going to have a generation that is not productive at all, because we all know that malnutrition, of course, uh, endangers the brains, not only the brains, but also the productivity of a person. So it means that actually, even the children that these children will give birth to, who will have the same problem. Uh, we are also seeing cases of forced marriages, because in countries where such wars happen, of course, they are, because there is no school, there is no activity like that maybe children will be in school and all that. We always see forced marriages, and not only that, even unwanted pregnancies, because we know how these military guys can be. They act violent towards more so the girl child, because at least for the boy child is not so vulnerable compared to the girl child. So it means that actually there is going to be a generation that looks like as if it is, I don't know the right word to use, but there's going to be a generation that it's like as if it is a cursed generation. Because trust me, Maria, uh, when you get pregnant in that situation, you're not ready to be pregnant, you're not ready for what has happened. Of course, it is evident enough that you will suffer, and even the kids you've given birth to will suffer, because there will be nothing like love, there will be nothing like care, and more so in this situation, because we already know that over 11 million people are running out of their country to seek refuge in neighboring countries like South Sudan and other countries like Chad and other neighboring countries around. So it means that even if this war actually ends today, Sudan will take years and years to stabilize, because it will have a generation of non-productive citizens, generations actual and generations of non-productive citizens that have resulted from malnutrition, they have resulted in from unwanted pregnancies, and of course diseases, other diseases that are usually come along with such scenarios. Diseases like cholera, because usually even the hygiene is not given a priority in such situations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Monica, as a gender activist. Of course, in when we see conflicts or wars in different areas, there is a lot that happens. More especially to the young people, and the women are always vulnerable, where they, of course, experience cases like rape, gender-based violences, forced marriages, and given that mothers are of course, the pillars of families are scattered, and at the end of the day, we realize that there is much stress that is being pressed on their mind, not only mentally, but also physically. I do agree with you, Monica, on that. Now, we are going to have a bit of a short break, and that will be probably, would you wish our viewers to know what exactly you do? Because from Brian, I've got to learn that you work. Brian, you said you are the founder.
Yes, please.
Please explain a little bit about the organization you're working with to our listeners and those viewing us. You never know, something can happen. Brian, are you there? Now I don't know whether it is me.
Yes, please. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I do now.
Uh, the session is called Advocacy for Youth Transformation and Empowerment. Ayote,
Mm,
Uganda, currently based in Uganda, and
yes.
our main focus is lifting and supporting the young people in aspects of social life, leadership transformation, mentorship, and health living. So what we look at mostly is to lift the young people, especially those that are in vulnerable communities, the underprivileged, the orphans, and also impacting social life skills, practical skills, and leadership transformation among the young people. And this mostly bases on the fact that there is a big growing population amongst the young people in Uganda that needs to be supported, that needs to be given a path to take, especially when it comes to growth in other aspects of life, that a group of youths in Uganda shall not necessarily depend on government for survival, that people shall not sit down and wait for government to intervene, but rather create solutions to problems that are existing. And one of the things we look at here is how we can lift the vulnerable people, how we can impact social life skills, how we can train practical skills amongst the young people, and how we can teach the young people that we grow by lifting others. So, as a young person in a community, how do you raise others? How do you look at issues affecting your community and become the source of transformation right from where you come from? And one of the things also look at is technology. How do we grow with the advancing technology to make sure that we are catching up on how we can make lives better? And this currently starts with Uganda, but mostly focusing on the young people. Briefly, that's what I can say about Uganda. It starts
Oh,
as an association right from
mm,
school, goes to universities and then pushes back to communities.
For that great foundation that is there for our people now. Of course, we are going to go back into our Sudan human crisis topic, and this probably anyone who I'm not going to point out who may answer this, but if you feel like you are capable of answering this, then you are extremely welcome. Now, what lessons can Sudanese current crisis teach about managing ethnic relations and avoiding cycle of revenge? Because most, by the way, if you look at the rebels that are in Sudan and what they are doing, they are revenging. They are anti-government. They are revenging about the crisis that happened some time back. Now, what lessons can Sudan's current crisis teach at least other countries in Africa that have not yet experienced this kind of crisis?
Thank you very much, Maria. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. First of all, as Africans, we should learn that one thing actually I've learned is that there is always a push factor behind whatever is happening. For example, now when you look at what is happening in Sudan, there is external influence. There is there are particular people that actually have turned this war into proxy. There are regional powers that are turning Sudan into a proxy battleground. The rapid support forces, Maria, are reportedly, quote my words well, reportedly supplied by United Arab Emirates. When I talk of being supplied, I mean finances, arms, and what. And actually, it is also believed that the Sudanese Armed Forces receive political and material support from countries like Egypt and Iran. And just imagine, Egypt is an African country. What is it looking for? Is it, I don't know, I can't even understand why it is supporting or it is influencing this war to happen. So it means that, what do I want to say in this? It means that as Africans, we should think of ourselves. We should have, we should actually be patriotic, because as I told you actually, Maria, in the beginning, that in here in Uganda there is a saying that wherever two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. And in this case, now, like what is happening in Sudan, it is the generals are the elephants, and that Mwananchi, we the ordinary citizens, are the cows, and they are the ones actually suffering right now. And actually, this war actually it is going to spike years and years, because actually revenge is going to be there for some good years. Actually, it may not even my grandchild may not see Sudan stable. Even my great great grandchild may not see Sudan stable. So what does it mean as Africa? Hello? Yes, Maria?
Yes, I said we pray.
Okay, man, but also maybe to end with on this one, we should, as Africans, actually, we should look within ourselves, because as I've told you, there is always that external influence, and usually the external influence is not African. Apart from this, actually, Sudanese war that I've seen, that I've actually heard that Egypt is financing the armed forces of Sudan, but it actually it is Egypt that, as an African country, that is influencing the armed forces. So, as Africans, we should always, because for us, we develop slowly. And what actually even hurts more is that the development that you've worked for over 50 years, 70 years, and what, it gets it's put down just in 1 year, 2 years, because as you know, wherever wars elapse, of course, uh, many things actually are destroyed. So it means that the development that Sudan had worked for the past 50, 70 years, it is now down. So how are we, or how are they going to stand again? It will take other years and it remains resources. So as Africans, at least other African countries should look into this and try to stabilize their countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. I'm still posing this particular question back to you as a professional journalist. Uh, do you feel like the global media and journalists have, of course, have played their role of creating awareness, of creating awareness about the issues that are in Sudan, creating awareness and sustaining, of course, this humanitarian crisis? What have the journalists done? Have they played their role? Do you feel like they have been there is no freedom of speech, or have they been able to bring out the truth of what is going on in Sudan?
Maria, in Africa, actually, the freedom of expression turned into the freedom of suppression. When you look at what is happening in Sudan, I don't think actually it has been given the attention that it requires. If not only actually from journalists, but all other international agencies, because there is massive funding shortfall. When you look right now, it is believed that the humanitarian response is critically underfunded. The UN is only actually it only gave 4.2 billion appeal for 2025, and actually that's around 25%. So who is funding the other 75%? It means that agencies cannot scale up to the response to meet the catastrophic needs of Sudan as we talk right now. So I believe actually this war has not been looked into. It has been underrated and underreported.
It
Thank you,
has been
Maria.
underrated and underreported.
Yes.
In other words, we are not, the world is not seeing the real things that are happening in Sudan. We are not seeing the genesis of the conflict. We are not seeing what is happening. Should I say, apparently, in one way or the other? Because journalists in Africa, I guess not only in Africa, in many countries in the world have been suppressed. I will start with Russia. Russia, it is only, private media companies in Russia do not actually work. The same with China. We go to the recent scenario in Tanzania where media was cut down, the internet and all that.
Maria, you're going far. Look here in Uganda what is happening right now.
Mm.
So me, when I look at this Sudan war, contrast the scale of the crisis with the minimal diplomatic engagement and media coverage that it receives. The world has largely chosen to look away from Sudan. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm observing.
You know, in many cases, we have these people we always call the Bazungu. In Swahili, they call them Muzungu. And the Nigerians say Onyibo. Now, this, in many cases, there is a reason why these people get involved. If there is nothing they are benefiting from something, they will never get involved. And we have shown that Africans, unless we cry out for their intervention, at times things don't go the right way. Most of the people who have been funding the so-called, of course, the so-called aid, of course, been foreigners, and America has been injecting in a lot, but we have not seen it come out to try as much, as possible to make sure that this kind of violence ends. Now, my biggest question I'm going to ask is, if at all it is you who is injecting money in me having peace. Why don't you just hope at a go and we just close this, hole that is swallowing your money, unless it is very important for for me to keep biting with my family or with whoever I'm biting myself with. Um, you've spoken about the situation in Uganda where journalists are being suppressed. Recently, of course, we saw NTV, being sanctioned, and of course, it was barred from broadcasting and bringing out information and also covering the presidential campaigns of the current president of Uganda now. A lot of journalists, I feel this has actually affected many journalists, not only in Uganda, but the entire Africa. And I do agree where you say that uh, there is little information that has been put out there. Do you think the Sudanese journalists are afraid of what Ugandans call the mafias?
That's automatically, and it's evident actually, because uh, moving away from Sudan, Maria, I don't know if you remember when the president of South Sudan, um, I don't know actually what happened to him, but of course it happens when someone has diabetes. You reach a point when you cannot control yourself. So I think that day he had not been prepared well, and over there are no pampers. And you remember what happened? And the journalists that actually put out that the journalist that released that video, it is believed, and actually I have information from one of the journalists still in South Sudan. He told me that that journalist was killed. So what does this mean, Maria? That most of the time, as a journalist, you also reach a point. Actually, we are pressed to the point of choosing in between life and your career. And when it gets to that, Maria, of course, someone will sit back and think, what do I have behind? I have a family. Sometimes you have your children, they are still young. And then you're like, let me give up on career so that I at least I can stay with my family. That's Africa for you.
True that, unfortunately, Brian has left us, and this question I had just it was sketched for Brian, and Brian is not here. I don't know whether he's able to come back or I should pause it to you because we are time bad. And of course, like this show goes on, Brian is going to ask this question to you. Monica, this channel being a channel that brings Africans together, more especially the Africans in diaspora, I'm going to, how can Sudanese in diaspora who are watching this show, how can Sudanese in diaspora who are watching this show contribute to social rebuilding and reconciliation? What role do you think? How do you think they should contribute to social rebuilding and reconciliation? I'm seeing Brian is right back.
Is Brand there? Or should I go?
I think he has gone. Let me see it here. Brian.
Hello.
Yes, this
Yes, I
question.
am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Due to
All right.
time, we are
Sorry,
going to
my
be.
network had gone off.
Sorry. Due to time, we are going to rush a bit because this show goes for 1 hour. And this question was yours, Brian. As I was saying, the question states that how can Sudanese diaspora contribute to social rebuilding and reconciliation? As we know, this TV or this channel brings Africa's diaspora together. And I believe if at all the Sudanese in diaspora are not watching now, they will rewatch this. And how do you think they can contribute to, of course, reconciliation and also bringing back the peace in Sudan?
All right, thank you very much, Maria. I believe that one, the Sudanese in the diaspora, the one thing they should do is to preach and really sensitize the love for their country. If they can be in solidarity, maybe organize, they can be online sessions like these ones, they could organize press conferences and really bring out uh, the effect of what is happening in Sudan on their people. Then this would really help to issue out a general call to the entire international community and all other members, all other neighboring countries, possibly the African Union, the United Nations, to intervene in this situation and re-establish peace in Sudan. Besides that, they should not give up on fighting for freedom in their country. And fighting for freedom starts with expression. You have to express the discomfort. You have to bring people to the understanding of the effect of what is happening there on the people of Sudan. So if they can come together and issue and raise their voices, speak to the general international community and ask for intervention in the matter. They should preach peace, they should preach possible reconciliation, and above all, come out and express their discomfort. This will really help to restore peace. I believe that can restore peace in Sudan.
Thank you so much, Brian, for that strong point you have raised. It is true. I think we should look beyond our tribes and look at our skin as not only Black people but Africans, because it is important when we look at the tribes that were, of course, brought to us, these demarcations and the mental boundaries that we have that bring a lot of conflicts, because you realize some of them are having conflicts because they have different religious beliefs and tribal beliefs. But before that, let me first read some comments. I'm seeing GB Jabba said, "Good day, thank you for covering this. I don't know the deeper details. Listening while at work. Have a great day." He also says, and I say, "I do." K. William says, "Peace, Maria and Jiba." And of course, yes, that is terrible. What is going on over there? And now, of course, K. William says, "Okay, B said," and if I'm correct, Donald Trump just ended their protected status over here. I think it ends January. This is a brother from United States of America. That's K. William. He said he thinks Donald Trump just ended the Sudanese protected status in America, and it's going to, of course, end with indefinite in January the 6th. That is what K. William told us. He also said, Monica is responding. I guess he was meaning, uh, okay, he was meaning this question I said for Brian when Monica responded. Again, he said, "You need to mute everyone except Monica." Oh, I guess that's why we are having a bit of audio backlash, because our audio, all our mics were open. Maria, have a good day. I get back to work. Qatar is also supplying the RSF. The Qatar government wants the gold. This, I think, was directed to Monica when they were trying to compliment about the people who are sponsoring. Uh, of course, the war. This is Dwight. Yes. Qatar is also supplying weapons. Good discussion. Take care. Thank you so much for those who have, of course, dropped in your comments. Thank you so much for loving and supporting Africa Mpenzi TV. Here is where we bring Africa to your doorstep. Thank you so much, Jibi Jaba from the United States, Dwight Davidson from the United States, K. Williams from the United States, and of course, Munza from South Africa. I'm seeing here Tochi Toby from South Sudan. Thank you so much. You're just coming in. I shared this and your beats are late. I will, of course, read your comment as we are off. Thank you so much for all those who have watched. And please, of course, the people I've had with me today on the panel, of course, we have Monica and Brian, and they work with an NGO that supports youth development in a short. It supports and creates a youth empowerment in Uganda. Probably, if you would wish to support their organization in one way or the other, and put a brick or a block on the development of a Ugandan child. We can discuss about that later on. Allow me to let these two panelists with me say their final words before we end our show. I will start with Monica.
Well, thank you very much, Maria. And now, and to all our listeners out there, thank you very much for tuning in to Mpenzi Africa TV. And for sure, my last remarks are, and I'm talking to each and everyone in this world, not only in Africa, but in the world. We must refuse this. We must let this crisis, we must refuse this crisis to remain out of sight and out of people's mind. The people of Sudan are not just statistics. These are families that are facing a man-made hell in their own country. Our actions, all our inactions, will determine their survival for God and my country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Monica. Brian?
Thank you very much, Maria, and all the viewers and listeners out there. It has been a pleasure to be part of this show. My final call to everyone, just as Monica has said, let's preach peace. Let there be peace. Let there be freedom. Let's have democracy. Let's let people live a normal life. It's a call to all international agencies and African Union that it is our responsibility to make sure that there is peace in Sudan and any other country, because having the sense of humanity is what every human being should have. These people deserve a better life. They deserve peace. They deserve their stable families. Thank you very much. I wish you the very best. It's a pleasure.
I went to Juba, South.
The first civilization to take Africans up.